So now we come to the final meeting of the quarter. I always love and hate preparing this message. I love it because we're celebrating with people that we love so much who've attained a very worthwhile goal, something that's taken them years of effort, lots of money, many sleepless nights. You're here. You've made it. We want to celebrate with you, rejoice with you as you are rejoicing. And I'm always sad because I'm saying goodbye to people that I love very dearly. Today, literally, I began to weep as I was typing this message. And then at that point, a garbage truck rolled by, loudly beeping. Began to try and record the sermon. Another garbage truck came by. And as I began to record the sermon again, 5 times garbage trucks rolled by. And I began to laugh. And so now you are getting a post-tier version of the message. So here's the thing. I did some math. I went to a website, checked current Stanford tuition, room and board, all those charges. And it seems as though the sticker price for your education, if you're an undergrad finishing out, was a little bit over $280,000. Now, I realize not everyone paid sticker price. You have financial aid, scholarships. There's different things that might impact, but that is, in theory, the value of this piece of paper that you're about to receive. $280,000. What could you have done with $280,000? Well, you could have bought about 19,000 books, sized out a pretty good library with far more knowledge contained within it than you've been able to glean these last several years at Stanford. Or if bling is more your style, you could have got a Bentley Continental GT with 552 horsepower, capable of going 200 miles an hour. Instead, you're getting a sheet of paper. You could actually have bought a house in Springfield, Missouri, 5-bedroom, 3-bath house. You could be a homeowner, or you could have a degree. My favorite, you actually could have gone to Disneyland, stayed in a hotel near the park, gone every day with a $70 food budget, and had money left over. You could have been at Disneyland the last 4 years. Instead, you were here. You chose the farm over Fantasia, the ivory tower over the Magic Kingdom. Was it worth it? Was it the right choice of your time, of your energy, of your life? As a Christian, there's only one objective answer to that question. And it may be surprising to you to even think there's an objective answer because it's a matter of preference. Some people prefer Disneyland and recreation. Some people prefer academia and hard work. And some people like Thai food. Some people like Mexican. Some people prefer country music. Some people prefer hip hop. Some people prefer rock. Some people prefer alt. It's just whatever you're into. Well, as a Christian, that is true of some things, but it's not true of everything. And it's particularly when we spend our life. The question is not what pleased us. The question is what pleased the Lord. And so the question is, did your time at Stanford please God? And I believe very much for the graduates of Chi Alpha, the answer is yes. Your time here has pleased the Lord. Please the Lord because you did good work while you were here. You've left a legacy on campus. More than that, please the Lord because you've laid a foundation for your future. 20 so years ago, when Paul and I came to Stanford, began praying about this process, reflecting on what it would mean to do ministry well. How could we tell if we were being successful or not? I came to this conclusion that I would never know if I was successful on campus based on what happened on campus. We could have 1,000 students come to a meeting, and that would not make our ministry more successful than having 10 students or less successful than having 10,000 students. What mattered was not what happened on campus. What mattered was what happened beyond campus. See, at Stanford, we of course try to touch Stanford. We are Christ ambassadors to the people of this institution. But more than that, we are people who are being prepared, being formed, being sent out. What matters at Stanford is not what happens here, but what happens beyond here. God has been preparing you these last several years for what's next. And now you get to go experience what's next. And maybe you don't feel ready for it. Maybe you don't feel prepared. Maybe you keep hoping that you can just put off being an adult a little while longer. Graduates, hear me. You're ready. You're ready. What will it look like? Well, you're going to continue to be Christ ambassador. Every week after our sermons, after our messages, after our services, I say, remember, we are Chi Alpha, Christ's ambassadors. That's where our name comes from. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 20. We are therefore Christ ambassadors. Years ago, I began to reflect on that and think, what does it mean to be an ambassador for Christ? And that's where I came up with the definition I give you every week. Ambassadors are people who make friends on their nation's behalf and advance their national interests wherever they find themselves. That's what an ambassador is about. They build friendships with purpose. Graduates, that's what you're about too. Whether you go work for Google or you go work on Wall Street, whether you work in America or Asia, wherever you find yourself, be an ambassador for Christ. Keep doing that. And then 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I hope that we meet again. And you look back upon your experience at Stanford, your time in Chi Alpha, and you say something very much like, man, those were great times. I remember this funny story, this event that happened. That was the first time that I shared my faith with a very aggressive skeptic. That was the first time I stepped into worship leadership, that I began to lead a life group, or that I prayed for more than an hour. I read the Bible all the way through. Whatever spiritual milestones or markers you might have from these last several years, I hope you celebrate them. But also look back upon them and say, wasn't that cute? But I've gone so much further. Like David, once I fought the lion, now I'm fighting a giant. That you will have leveled up. I knew that I would never be able to tell if I was successful in ministry until I saw what my alumni were doing decades after they graduated. And right now I want to tell you, you're joining a team of alumni scattered around the world who are doing great things for God. Some in ministry, some in academia, some in the marketplace, all sorts of different ways. Some are married, some are single, some have kids, some are childless. They're all serving God's purposes, where He's placed them, what He's called them to do and to be. And now you join their ranks. I encourage you, be quick to find a church wherever you wind up. If you need any help, please, I'm here for you. Reach out to me and I will network you with some of these alumni. We almost certainly have people who live where you're going, working in industries very similar to the one that you're working in, maybe even for your company. I can network you. I can help you to connect and to thrive. And that's my desire, that you will thrive in the days to come. But again, maybe you don't feel ready. Underclassmen, these graduating students live in some pretty big shoes to fill on campus, and we need you to step up into them. We need you to become the next wave of life group leaders, of worship team leaders, of people showing hospitality to those around them, of welcoming underclassmen, welcoming frosh and transfers and new graduate students. And maybe you don't feel ready. Neither did they. And they don't right now. Here's what I want you all to hear. Every one of you is ready. And I say it with confidence, not because I'm confident in you, but because I'm confident in the one who is shaping you. Philippians chapter 1, verses 3 to 11 says, I thank my God every time I remember you. In all my prayers for all of you, I always pray with joy because of your partnership in the gospel from the first day until now, being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. I'm confident because I'm confident in God. I'm not confident in you. I know you too well. I love you, but man, so some of you heard me tell the story before. Years back, I was tabling on White Plaza, welcoming students during NSO. And this student biking across campus saw our table, got super excited because he had met us during Admit Weekend the year before. And so he looked over at the coffee table with joy in his heart and didn't remember how to ride a bike because he'd not ridden one since he was like 10 years old. And so he forgot that where he turned his attention, the bike would turn too. He crashed into our table. He ran his bike into our contact table. I had no confidence in him because of him, but I had confidence in him because of God. He went on to become a worship leader in Chi Alpha, became one of our officers, and is now a professor at Stanford University and is our faculty advisor, Dr. Will Tarpe. God is at work in Will's life, and he brought him where he needed to be. God is at work in your life. He's bringing you where you need to be. I have confidence in God because my God is faithful and true. Your God is faithful and true. So to the underclassmen where you can't live up to the legacy these graduates are leaving behind, I understand. But I knew them when they were your age. And trust me, you're on track. You're going to do a fabulous job. Graduates, you're not sure you're ready to take on a job, to get a car, to pay a rent or mortgage, to get married, to raise kids. You're ready. You're ready. God will meet you where you're at and give you what you need. Paul goes on. It is right for me to feel this way about all of you, since I have you in my heart. Whether I'm in chains or defending and confirming the gospel, all of you share in God's grace with me. God can testify how I long for all of you with the affection of Christ Jesus. You don't know how true that last sentence is. God in heaven will bear witness that I long to be reunited with you. Graduates, I'm not going to stop missing you. Whether you call me 5 years from now or 15 years from now, I'll take your call. Whether you come by for a meal next week or you come by for a meal in a decade, our house will be open to you. I love you. I long to be reunited with you, and perhaps our paths will not cross again this side of heaven. And if that's the case, I look forward to welcoming you into an eternal home and being welcomed into yours in turn. Underclassmen, I cannot wait for the day that we are reunited, and it is coming soon, and it's going to be great joy. I pray that you long for one another with the affection of Christ Jesus as well. And now, this is my prayer over all of us, graduates, undergrads who are not yet ready to graduate, graduate students who have not yet reached the completion of their degree. This is my prayer for you, echoing Paul, that your love may abound more and more in knowledge and depth of insight, so that you may be able to discern what is best and may be pure and blameless for the day of Christ, filled with the fruit of righteousness that comes through Jesus Christ to the glory and praise of God. Today, we put a period on this quarter, but not on our life together. If you're an undergrad who's not yet graduated, you're a grad student not yet finished, please know we're going to continue to worship next week. We'll go on through the whole summer. To those graduating, you're always welcome to join with us from around the world, wherever you find yourself. Please feel free, but also feel blessed and released. The Lord is calling you on to a new season, and if that involves you disconnecting from us completely, we understand. And I want you to know that I am proud of you, and I believe that God is going to do wonderful things in your life, greater than I can imagine at this point, greater than you can imagine in your wildest dreams. Now, graduating students, will you lead us in worship one last time?